for the album.
Uh-huh.
So we had like some of the best country musicians playing on it. There were like the guys who do Luke Bryan's stuff and the guys that do some of Dirk Bentley's songs and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then so they kind of take the chords that you've already worked out and have been playing, and they change the strumming pattern and the picking pattern. So what was initially something that was just like easy strumming, I then had to like try and figure out how they played what they played, these incredible musicians, and try and copy what they were doing. So that was the most challenging.
But that was a good learning experience.
Really amazing. And these guys are the most unsung heroes, you know. They
studio musicians.
They're there every day. They're all day, every day. They go in and they might write the riff that makes a song like a hit, and they just did that on an hourly wage, and they get paid good. They get paid good money, but it's like nothing in comparison to what that causes the song to make, you know.
Okay, I got one country song writing story. Are you ready?
Okay, go.
Okay, early in Willie Nelson's career, he was recording an album, and they were one song short. And he said, okay, and you know, all the production, all the musicians were there. They paid. You know, they said, you know, we got an hour left, you know, and you got to come up with this song in an hour. So they said, we're going to throw you in this empty room, and you are going to write it. You're going to sit down and write it. So they threw him in this empty room. He looks around and he goes, "Hello, walls." that
Amazing.
Yeah. That became the name of the hit song.
And it
that was in an hour.
Yeah,
that was in an hour.
It wasn't his either. I mean, was it Fair and Young, or somebody had that "Hello Walls"?
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Very cool. I know. I like that story. I wish now I have to have a story that beats that story.
No, you don't. No, I want to change direction here a little bit.
Okay.
I have to say this. These guys know that I happen to be a pastor. And in addition to that, in addition to this, and one of my little pet peeves is I don't have to have everybody be religious all the time. You know, that's and you know, it's not like nobody can ever cuss or anything like that. Although some cussing grates on me more than I. You know, anytime you invoke the name of the deity, that bothers me, but the other stuff doesn't. Anyway.
How does one invoke the name of the deity?
Well, you can say damn without saying G-damn.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, or you know, you can say Jesus Christ is as when you're praying, but not as a cuss word.
Right.
To me.
Right.
See,
gosh.
Yeah, you can say. Yeah, there's all kinds of other things you can say.
Cool.
But anyway,
I was trying to look back and figure out.
Was there anything?
Did I?
Well, a preacher's son, I think, would have been sensitive to that, and a preacher's son wouldn't have done that. I don't think. I mean, my son is a preacher's son,
right?
And he's not, you know, the paragon of all preachers' sons necessarily, but he knows that you know, out of respect, he never uses the name of the deity or the name of Jesus when he cusses.
Yes.
See?
And do you feel like Liam did?
No, he didn't. No,
he didn't. Okay,
no, that's not where I was going with this.
Okay.
Sorry.
I thought you were telling Liam.
No. Where I was going was that as a minister and as an active pastor, I'm preaching this Sunday. One of the things that always kind of grates on me is the when they depict a pastor in a movie. He's almost always, you know, they're terrible models. They're either hypocrites or they're child molesters or they're
Hello, my name is Alice.
We know your name, Alice.
Okay.
We love you, Alice.
Someone else can send you the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're so hard to
figure it out.
Irishman, and they came to visit last week.
It works. Okay. How do I shut it off?
He can show you.
You know where the app is?
He was speaking English.
Yeah, it's there, right? Rev recorder. Pause that.
I want to record again.
And you want to record, you can go there. And then you're recording.
Yeah.
That's alright. It's so crazy that we just seem to come out the womb and just
I
have
know,
technology
it
in
is
front of
that
them.
we missed it. I mean, we just,
Yeah,
just
yeah, that's
we
true.
have to get the 6-year-olds to help us.
That's true.
They know. Right?
Yeah, it's and then the same for me. There's kids now that like know how to program and stuff like that, and I have no idea. You know, like they're learning
Coding
programming
at age 5.
coding,
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? Yeah.
Well,
so-
anyway, where I was going with it
Yeah.
was that it's hard to find a positive clergy role model in a modern film. You have to go all the way back to Boys Town or something in the 40s to find, you know. And what I appreciated about this film was that the figure of your father was a positive model. He wasn't
Yes.
perfect. He had a temper, he kept grudges, you know, but he was a caring man who obviously cared for his congregation. And when he spoke sincerely, and he was a man of sincere faith. And I appreciated that so much.
Oh, that's brilliant! I'm so glad that you noticed that and,
Oh, yeah.
felt that, and especially as a pastor too.
Yeah.
Because he isn't perfect, you know, and he admits that towards the end.
Yes.
Also, as far as like he realizes that part of the reason why Liam went into this like downward spiral and was kind of sucked in by fame in this way was partly to do with the fact that that he didn't have the words to he has the words for his whole congregation, but he doesn't
But he
have
didn't
the
have-
words for Liam in his kind of
Oh,
time of need.
And see, there's a dynamic there that I can really identify with. You know,
Right.
I can be a pastor to other people, but I can't be a pastor to my own son.
Right.
All I can be is his father.
Yes.
And I'm an imperfect both ways.
Yeah.
But I sure can't be his pastor.
And it's our imperfections that like make us human and make us like perfect in our own ways and so on.
And my poor wife, therefore, has never had a pastor.
Right.
Because all she's ever had is a husband.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting relationship. So, and it was a really fun relationship to play around with too.
Yeah.
And I think there's that the speech that Thomas Benjamin Hickey gives, I think is great. And
that's a great speech at the end. Yeah.
And also the speech on forgiveness too, I think,
Yes.
is because that's kind of the theme. That's kind of the
Yeah.
theme of the. Of
We
the
call it a
movie.
sermon.
A sermon. Yes,
Yeah.
it's not an acting speech. It's a sermon.
Yeah.
But and I think I think that's incredibly important too.
Well, and the other thing, I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
No, you're fine, Ron.
The other thing that I noticed is that when my son was a teenager, and he was going through, you know, sort of typical teenage stuff, you know, he came to me, and I was at the time pastor of a big church, and you know there were a lot of expectations about preacher's kid, which is part of the reason preacher's kids have such a reputation. But anyway.
Right.
My son knew about all those expectations and knew that he was supposed to, you know, not only go to the youth group, he was supposed to lead the youth group, and
Yeah.
And finally, he came to me and he said, "Dad," he's 15. We lived next door to the church, and he said, "Dad, I really enjoy listening to your sermons. They're okay, but the youth group, I can't do it. Can we make a deal? If I come in every Sunday and listen to your sermons, can I not do the other?" I said, "Deal."
Okay.
And so every Sunday what he would do, and the church had a balcony, what he would do is he would always wait till the service had already started so he didn't have to deal with anybody or, you know, greet anybody or, you know, and so he'd, you know, quietly tiptoe up to the balcony and then after I got through and before the service was over, he would go back out. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that when you went to your dad's church and you sat outside with the doors open. You know, you were there, but you were not there. You were
Right.
you were listening, but you weren't with the rest of the group. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you weren't. You wanted to not be a part of the group. You know?
Yeah, I think stepping into that church for Liam was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So then the moment where he steps into the church because he's about to get married to Josie. Not to put any spoilers in there, but
We've seen it.
He wasn't going to get married, so we know that.
yeah, so I worked with Bethany on this too, at the fact because where's he going to be? But I think stepping through those doors was
yes.
a really big step
Yes,
for
it was.
him, because I think he's just been away from he's been away from everything and kind of probably done some things that he's not proud of, and like not sure whether he's even worthy to go back.
Right.
You know, until he kind of repents and makes amends.
You ever had a relationship as difficult as the one Liam had?
What with Josie?
Yeah.
With Josie? No, I haven't. I haven't. Especially I haven't got any kids either, so there's not that added difficulty.
Yeah.
That you know of.
No, I definitely know that I don't have any kids. For now. Yeah.
Leaving her at the church is a little, yeah.
Somebody else.
I wanted to ask about the setting because, you know, it's a film about going back home, obviously, and you know, I did think that you guys captured that sort of small town, you know, kind of Cajun feel to it. I wanted to know kind of where did you film? You know, how much time did you spend there? Was there any time to kind of get acclimated to it while you were on set, that type of thing?
We shot in Atlanta. Ideally, we would have shot where it was. We would have shot in Louisiana and like, but it's like easier to shoot in Atlanta, and Georgia has like the facilities and stuff like that. We didn't really get a chance to get acclimated. But I went to Nashville and spent a little bit of time in Nashville. And for me, it was more about kind of understanding the like what it was to be a country singer. And our director Bethany she's from a small town. I forget the name. But she's from a small town in the south, and so she would talk to us quite a lot about what it is to be from a small town. And I think you see that in the movie, the kind of the way that everyone in the town like kind of knows each other, and that this town hasn't released any information about Liam or anything like that, because as a town collectively, they have kind of disowned him because he walked out on Josie, and I feel like that setting makes that possible. Because in a slightly bigger town, someone would have released something, but like there's a really tight knit community in this town that they.
They call it St. Augustine, but there isn't a St. Augustine, Louisiana. There's a St. Augustine, Texas, and Florida.
Yeah, so that was so it's made up, but it sounds like a real. It sounds like it could.
It sounded well, and it had Saint on the movie. It had a movie theater that said Saint. It was showing there, and I thought, where is that?
That was. They called it Saint for short.
That's movie magic.
I know, but I wondered where.
Movie magic. They put a fake one in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was in Atlanta though.
Oh, that was all.
Yeah, but well noticed. It's these little this attention to detail really does matter from the set designers and stuff.
Well, speaking of that, one part that bothered me about it is you know, when you would get mobbed, you know, and recognized out in public, but then they were kind of inconsistent with it, like you were in that airport lounge and you were sitting there by yourself on the floor and nobody seemed to know.
There's a little bit of inconsistency.
And that kind of.
But I think because it was London, what was quite interesting with that was because it was London, country artists are often might be huge in the US, and often in London no one knows who they are.
Well, yeah.
So I think that was a creative license there to kind of have a slightly different, and it also because of that allowed him to have a private moment with Josie.
Right.
But I think because it was London, he's able to then have his little private.
Well,
moment
and then in St. Augustine, there's this bubble, you know, and if you go in the bubble, then nobody mobs you, nobody asks you your autograph, and they know who you are, but you're just a hometown boy, so you know there's no celebrity thing, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I guess it's that was them trying to portray how the whole town has kind of got together, and everyone that he meets calls him an idiot, and everyone's just not interested in him.
Yeah,
they all
it's like the whole town's a conspiracy. You know? I don't know if you could pull that off or not, but that was okay. I'll go with the assumption. Okay.
Thank you.
Had you read the book before you got involved with this, or did you end up reading it at all?
Bethany, the writer-director, told me that the book was a lot different to the movie, so I didn't want to I didn't want to show up on set and have preconceptions of my character from the book, because everything was so different. There was relationships that were different. There
He was a rock
were
star.
he was a rock star. I think
Not country.
he had a son, not a daughter.